Breaking news, conservative activist Charlie Kirk has been killed after being shot in the neck during an outdoor rally on the campus of Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. We have the latest confirmed information in this special breaking edition of On the Case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
On the Case with Chris Stewart, Law and Crime.
Breaking details are still coming in on this story, but President Donald Trump just said that Charlie Kirk, the conservative activist, is dead after he was shot at an event today outside Salt Lake City in Orem, Utah. Here's the post on Truth Social the president put out, writing that the great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you. Now, Charlie Kirk was a conservative activist, very active on social media, and a major supporter of Donald Trump. He became one of the young faces of the MAGA movement. And he was one of the founders of Turning Point USA, a major political nonprofit that advocated for conservative causes. Kirk had been on his American comeback tour. He was going to colleges across the country and speaking on campus. And one of those stops today at Utah Valley University. It's in Orem, Utah. It's about 45 minutes south of Salt Lake. And it's a school of about 45,000 kids. And thousands of people were listening to Kirk speak at the time that he was shot. Now, at the time of this reporting, police say a suspect is still on the loose. Originally, there was a campus alert that went out saying that there was a suspect in custody. Then you had videos circulating on social media of an older man being detained. It is unclear what the circumstances were around that, but it is being reported that man is not the shooter who killed Charlie Kirk. A school spokesperson told the New York Times that a single shot was fired at Kirk from a building on campus about 200 yards away from where Kirk was seated. According to the school as well, Kirk was taken by his security team off of campus. Now, there is video circulating on social media of the shooting and of the moment that Charlie Kirk was killed. And we cannot show you that video. It is just too graphic to show it here. It is incredibly disturbing, but in that video, you can see that Kirk is hit. He reacts to being shot, falling out of his chair. You can hear that single gunshot being fired. You also see the bullet hit Kirk in the video, and you see blood leave his body. Then there's just chaos of the thousands of students and people who came to hear him speak running for safety. Now, one of our employees here at Law and Crime has a family member who goes to Utah Valley University, and here are the text messages that they sent to each other in the moments after this shooting. You can see that she says that she's okay. Quote, "I'm hiding right now. I love you." She explained there was a shooting and that she was okay, but she also said that the school was now on lockdown and that she was in hiding with other people. Earlier today, right as this news was breaking, I spoke to retired FBI agent Colin Schmidt. We spoke before the news broke that Kirk was dead. And at the time, it was being reported that a shooter was in custody. And we talked a lot about what this investigation will look like going forward and what charges a shooter, if and when they're arrested, what they could face. Here's our conversation. Joining us now is retired FBI agent Colin Schmidt. Always great to have you on Law and Crime. And thanks for being with us. As, so much information is developing right now. We know that there are students that are in lockdown right now on this campus. For those who are responding to this now in law enforcement, what are they doing at this point in the response?
Well, from what I understand online, they may have already have a suspect in custody, but one of the big problems when you have a shooting in an outdoor venue is you have self-deployment and lots of law enforcement showing up to the scene and basically having to be organized. So most likely the Utah State Police already set up a command post to bring the people to the one spot where they can organize their crime scene investigators, and then they're going to basically span out, start interviewing people and determine whether he's a lone shooter or there's more people involved in a conspiracy.
And that was going to be my next question is the, and I know law enforcement trains for this, but there's just that chaos of so many people that were in this like college quad. They're running. This one person, it appears, we don't know his identity at this point, is in custody. How do you make sure in all of that chaos that there isn't someone else who is part of this?
Well, you really can't. When you have, it looks to be about 5 to 10,000 people running in all different directions. The only thing you do is you got to start at the source, which is the shooter. They have him immediately identified. It looks like he may have made the shot from within the crowd, and the people, probably it's going to come out that people around him took him into custody, so to speak, or held him. But then the next step would
Everybody
be
is
to
running
do
for
a
his
logical
life, man.
investigation in terms of interviewing him,
That
get his
is
cell
so
phone,
horrifying.
do some cell phone analytics, and then talk to the people around there, and then frankly to determine if there is somebody that financed him or put him up to this, or if he's just a lone shooter.
So all of this is just for people who are watching this. I mean, this story broke probably for us within the last 10 or 15 minutes. So it's really within the hour. It appears that this has happened. How quickly do you start asking questions of that suspect?
Well, they're going to have to be careful because you don't want to prompt him to lawyer up, so to speak, even though that is his right. You want to get some professionals there, or get him in a car, get him aside, and basically start talking to him immediately to get a confession, so to speak. He's in custody, so it'll be an interrogation, so he has to be read his Miranda rights. And basically, the most important thing for them to find out is was
Make
he
America
alone, or is there
great
more
again.
people? From the pictures online, if that
That's
indeed is
so
the
sad.
suspect, he looked to be about 65 to 70, white male, older gentleman. So I suspect he's a lone shooter, and this has been something that's brewing within him for a long time, and then they're gonna find all those things out.
God
Because I also think too, because I saw
bless
that
his
same
family.
picture, and we're not showing it at this point because we don't know officially if this is the person. And we've seen in some cases, I remember, I think the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade shooting, that there was someone who actually wasn't arrested for it. So that picture is going around on social media. And if he is the person, I think for law
Why
enforcement,
someone did
it would
this?
be a challenge where here he is on the ground and you have people who you want to almost get away so they aren't. I could understand they would be really angry at this person and would want to go at him, and you want to make sure you have your suspect. Then at the same time, these could be witnesses. How do you handle the chaos of that moment?
Well, the first thing is to keep is to ensure there is no chaos. So they're going to radio in lots of support. More officers are going to uniform officers are going to get in there. They're going to do crowd control, and then they're going to interview the people that most likely put their hands on him or were around him, because they're going to be around, because ultimately it's kind of just common sense. They're going to say, "Hey, does anybody know what happened?" And being that event is very partisan, there's going to be people that are going to be happy to talk, happy to cooperate with law enforcement. And then from there, you just build on that, because most times when people go to events like this, they don't go alone. They go with a couple of friends. And so somebody's going to know somebody who saw
They
something.
never
And then
imagine
from there,
about
you're
this.
just going to do the investigation.
There's pictures, images, videos circulating on social media of the moment that Charlie Kirk was shot. It appears he was shot in the neck. According to the school, and an alert that it was a single gunshot from the crowd, from a suspect now believed to be in custody. Uh, in There's probably about 5,000 people, let's say, who are watching this speech. I think it was the Q&A session, for whether it's private security that's there or police that are there. I mean, how do you actually scan a crowd to try and spot someone who might be armed and trying to do something like this?
Well, I mean, you're gonna common sense. You're going to go to the sound, and then the muzzle flash, or the smoke. And so it most likely it
That is
appears that
pre-planned.
if he is the guy that did it, there was people around him who saw him pull out the long rifle or whatever, because it doesn't look like it was a shot from a handgun. And they frankly detained him. And then from there, law enforcement will come in and do their investigation.
And for these political events, I mean, to your point, I mean, Turning Point, it's a very partisan group, conservative politics. This is not a rock concert. This is a political rally that was going on. For law enforcement in the area, what is the preparation like in the days leading up to it? And I know he's on tour right now, so he's been at a lot of different colleges. But even in the days leading up to this speech, or the speech I think he was going to be in Colorado next, what is the preparation like ahead of an event where you know it's going to be very emotionally charged?
Today internet is
Well,
just
something like
flooded with
this, I
his
mean,
news.
technically he's not
Everywhere
a
is only
protectee like
this
the
news.
president or somebody else, So it's going to be up to
on
individually
every
each
channel.
department and how they want to handle it. They're going to get
Everybody
the
is
from the
posting the
Utah
same
or from the
thing
school the
again
agenda
and again.
and to see when he's there, when he's coming
Just a
in,
little bit.
and then they'll probably do some scanning of social media to see if there's any threats or anything out there. And then Charlie Kirk, he has his own security staff, hopefully, that they're going to be doing some threat assessments to see if there's any stalkers, anybody that's following them around. But the problem with an event like that is law enforcement doesn't have the resources to set up a perimeter and scan people through a metal detector like they would with the Secret Service. So, and even then, obviously, Donald Trump was shot. So these events now, it's looking like we're kind of moving into an era of political assassination. That actually we already moved into that era, and I fear for all of these public figures, especially on the right side of what is coming down the pipe.
Because I think in the for these events, and it's, to your point, you can't scan every single person coming through in some of these outdoor venues, and like we saw in Butler, Pennsylvania with President Trump, um, there can be breakdowns in the security. But I also think of,
This is the
private
picture
security
before the
teams, the
election.
cost of all of that leading up to it. Um, I guess how, and I know that this is a question that we won't be able to solve right here, but at this point where people are very outspoken, it's their right, even if you disagree with their political beliefs, to hold these events and hold them peacefully. How do we do these events, but then at the same time, not have situations like this where someone who is armed and angry can show up and do something?
Indoor events, yeah, you're going to have to use basketball stadiums, uh, closed stadiums where you have access control, and you don't have to set up extra fencing and all that other stuff. And then all of those venues already
Trump
have their
has
own metal
taken full
detectors,
advantage
and
of
they're
this
already set
shooting.
up for large crowds, and they're already set up to prevent people from bringing firearms into an event. So all of these events are going to have to go indoors if they really want to pay attention to security.
What's the process when you have this person who commits this crime? And if it's this person that we see on social media who did it or somebody else, let's just say they don't have ID on them. How do you figure out who they are?
Well, just talk to them. Number one, I mean, they're going to do an FI or a interview of him, and those aren't under Miranda. And basically ask him what's your name, who you are, and most likely he's going to have some sort of ID on him, a wallet or whatever, and then of course his cell phone, and then get his consent to open the cell phone, and then you're going to see his whole life history right there. And then the next step would be, and it appears the FBI is going to getting involved here rather quickly, that he may end up being turned over to a team that's combined FBI and Utah State Police or whoever the law enforcement is, and they'll interview or interrogate him together to make sure that they don't leave any stone unturned.
Charlie Kirk is a influencer, an activist. He's not a politician, an elected official that would be under a federal employee. But the FBI getting involved in this politically motivated attack, what does it look like as far as federal charges compared to charges in Utah?
Well, I think in a case like this, it'll be they're going to look at civil rights because it's most likely this person went after Charlie Kirk because of his political views, and that may dovetail into a civil rights violation, as well as I'd have to look at the statute book or on the internet to see if there's any statutes for in terms of assassination attempts, because he's not a sitting president or a former president or a member of the first family, but bottom with this administration, they'll definitely find a way to charge him. In my opinion, federally, they're going to throw the book at him, and then Utah will obviously also put charges on him. So it's likely that this gentleman will probably never see the light of day outside of prison.
No, and I think too, I mean, what happened to President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, and then even when he was on the golf course in West Palm Beach, and that was a threat that was stopped. This event with Charlie Kirk, you could go back to Gabby Giffords, what happened to her at her campaign event. These political figures are elected or not. I mean, they have become major targets, and there's been a lot of attention on the Secret Service, local police. We often hear about training for school shootings as well. Just in your career and your time with the FBI, how did the training change, or maybe the focus on these types of events change just as more of these events have seemed to happen?
Well, when I in mid-career, we started the active shooter training in response to Columbine, and then that active shooter training began to morph or actually get more sophisticated. So each agent has active shooter training, whether it be in the academy or when they get it into the field. So that's the biggest piece. Where even it used to be FBI agents weren't the ones that were going to be responding to this stuff. Now they understand that any law enforcement, any state, federal, or local has to be prepared for an active shooter, which is what this gentleman was, and be trained on how to neutralize that threat.
What are some of the pieces of evidence that you need to collect? Because there's going to be a ton of witnesses who have seen this guy do it. All that evidence is there. Likely they have the weapon that was used. But what are the other pieces of evidence you're going to need in this case?
Well, it's going to be anything in his pockets. They're going to put a timeline together from basically when he shot, and then go back most likely 48 hours or 72 hours, and then every minute of his life is they're going to endeavor to for the last 72 hours
They
they're going to
have
try to
only one
identify
footage and
what
they are
exactly
playing
where he
this again
was
and
and who he
again.
was speaking with, and then
They
that will be
don't have
another
any other footage.
subset of the evidence that they're going to
And
collect is the
this
interviews
footage
of
is
anybody he
from
interacted
Fox
with
News.
prior to the event or online and via social media. And then that's the other one, is most likely this guy's going to have a big viewing history of political events, and that will also go to the evidence of whether what his intent was. And frankly, the intent is basically where the federal law and the state law, for that matter, will really come into play, and what they can charge him with.
Oh my god,
Great choices for the
the
great
ad
you.
is so
Open your
much.
free DMAT account.
Come into play, and what they can charge him with.
And with I think of Miranda rights, and if he's making statements before you give him his Miranda rights, maybe he had something he wanted to say when he did this. Where does it come into the line when you're searching someone, where you're allowed to search him, take those things off of him? And then at what point does it become something where your access to this suspect is cut off because maybe he lawyers up and it's after you've given your Miranda rights to him?
Well, you're talking about spontaneous admissions, and most of those cops, if not all of them, have body cameras. So if he did do that, it's going to be recorded. And then in terms of his pocket litter or what's on him, per Terry or the Supreme Court
God give
Terry
a
stop,
stand
you
to
can
his
search him
family
for
so they
public
can
safety or officer safety. And then at that point, anything that's on his body will be brought, will be put aside. But to search
this
the
is so
phone, unless
sad
he
for his
gives
family.
consent, they're going to have to get a search warrant for that phone, which won't be a problem. And then the next step would be get search warrants for anywhere
Why
he lived
someone
or where
did
he's
this?
been in the last 72 hours.
Then if the FBI is involved in this and they're looking into his history, you have the local campus police, you might have Utah State Police that were involved in this. And when it comes to interrogating him later today or whenever that happens, who is the person who would be sitting across from him in the room?
Well, the FBI can't just walk in and take over. That's something from the 70s in the movies. They have to be,
Right.
and they already have a relationship with the Utah State Police as well as the campus police. And many times in my career, those are some of my best
The
friends, the
security
cops
is
that I
so
work
poor
with.
that
So
they
they're
can't
gonna
even.
ask can they participate, and it's up to whoever is in controlling the prosecution to determine who's going to be in that interview room. Now, if the U.S. Attorney's Office or the federal government takes it over, well, then they could insist on the FBI taking a lead. But I can almost guarantee there's going to be a local law enforcement officer in that interrogation room, along with potentially an FBI agent and also the ATF. They're there as well, and they have a seat at the table.
And we'll see how all of this plays out. A lot of this story still developing right now out of Orem, Utah. Retired FBI agent Colin Schmidt. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. Thanks for being with us.
All right. Thank you.
We will continue to keep a close eye on this story. Continue to follow us here at Law and Crime. That will do it for this breaking news edition of On the Case, presented by Law and Crime. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify. I'm Chris Stewart. We'll see you next time.
Thank you guys for watching till the end. I hope you find this video informative, and If you find this video informative, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel and comment what do you guys think about this incident. Why people does this and who does this? Tell me in the comment and tell me this video, how this video help you, so I can make more such type of videos for you. And thank you for watching till the end, and please subscribe. I need your support so that I can run this channel. I have only one subscriber, so I need subscriber. So with this guys, let's end this video. It's almost 20 minutes. Let me end this video real quick.